Dave, we're sitting here at Tradfest. What is this festival all about?
Well, Tradfest, I suppose, is it's a kind of continuation of Ceilidh culture that used to be in Edinburgh in the noughties, I suppose you'd say, and then in itself was obviously a continuation of the Old Edinburgh Folk Festival as well, and Shoots and Roots and all of that. So, but Tradfest has actually, I think, got a wider scope than those other festivals had. Arguably, I mean, maybe Ceilidh culture to some extent suggested the direction, but what Tradfest is very consciously about is taking all of the traditional arts of music, song, dance, storytelling, crafts, folk drama, all of these things, and presenting them all in the same programme, and allowing people to get a sense of the connection between all of these different art forms.
What is the organisation that runs Tradfest?
Tradfest is run by Tracks, which is Traditional Arts and Culture Scotland, which is the body that combines the Traditional Music Forum, the Traditional Dance Forum and the Scottish Storytelling Forum. And each of these forums has its own separate coordinators and directors and what have you, and its own staff and its own budget. But we're all combined together under the Tracks umbrella, which is the body that's funded by Creative Scotland to support the generality of the traditional arts in Scotland.
And when you say we are all funded, that's because you lead the Traditional Music Forum?
Yeah. And we're so yes, the Traditional Music Forum raises some of its own funds, but its core functions are funded through Tracks.
And you're a director of Tracks?
I'm associate director of Tracks. The director is Donald Smith, so I'm just kind of there in the sort of supporting role, I suppose you would say. But I run the Traditional Music Forum as well. And
it's a great link then with having you on board with Tracks and Tradfest, because you were the director of the Edinburgh Folk Festival.
Yeah, I took over from Jack Evans, and I mean it was quite a difficult time. The festival had always had a bit of a shoestring existence, which is one of the interesting differences with Tradfest, is much more securely funded than the old folk festival ever was. I had 3 good years as director of the folk festival. Changed the format a bit. I don't know if folk will maybe remember the Shoots and Roots. So instead of a 10-day festival, we had 2 festivals at different times of the year with slightly different emphasis. And I think it was probably during the folk festival that began to see the possibility of it not being just about music, but about being about the other art forms as well, which I think is quite important. I think as a kind of general cultural principle.
So I've known you for many years, and we met through traditional music in Edinburgh, having great times. What brought you to traditional music?
Oh gosh, I think it was when I was growing up. It was kind of in the air. You used to get stuff on the telly. You see the likes of Archie Fisher and Robin Hall and Jimmy McGregor and all these guys on the telly, and as well as the kind of the more sort of music hall side of things, Andy Stewart and Jimmy Shand and all of that. And my grandfather was a sort of self-taught musician. He played a bit of fiddle and a bit of melodeon. He was a farmlad from Galloway, and so he was very keen on traditional music. Had a lot of albums and so on. And but I think the thing that kind of tipped it for me was hearing Fairport Convention for the first time, and especially the album that we did on our holidays, where they had. That was the kind of start of their experiment with folk music, and I think following them when I was a teenager, it kind of led to folk club in Dumfries, and you know, just getting into not so much the kind of folk rock side of things, but the actual kind of nitty-gritty of tradition. And then moving up to Aberdeen, I think really kind of consolidated that side of things for me, because the place was so rich with traditional music. And then I got involved in Aberdeen Folk Club, and you know, the likes of Lizzie Higgins used to come along to Aberdeen Folk Club just to do a floor spot, you know. So, you know, you were seeing all these folk, and Danny Cooper and the Gagers and Peter Hall and all these guys, you know, just at first hand, you know, and you felt that these folk really had a hotline to you know, that aspect of Scottish tradition anyway.
So when you went to Aberdeen, were you already playing the guitar and songwriting?
Not really. I mean, I had a guitar, sort of strum a few chords when I was a teenager, but I never really played when I was at university at all. I didn't really get back into it until I was in my late 20s, so more or less started from scratch again then, and you know, just sort of was bashing chords out, you know, playing Cayley bands and stuff like that. And,
so what bands did you play with when you were in Aberdeen?
Oh well, my first band was called The Real Aliens, which was a kind of collective of anything between sort of 5 and 9 or 10 people, depending on who was around. That was great fun. I think probably you would say that they had a lot of communicated a lot of energy, and I think because of that, actually kind of recast the whole Cayley dancing thing in a new light. And you know, I think we were kind of in at the start of the sort of revival of interest in Scottish dancing and Cayley dancing, and I think the kind of that sort of exciting sound that we made was part of that. Yeah. After The Real Aliens, I was in a band called Desperate Dan's Band, which was a much smaller and kind of tighter ensemble that featured folk like Louise Mackenzie on fiddle, that, you know, the folk that are involved in Face Ross will know. Stu Ritchie, who's now a really well-known jazz drummer, but he played with us when he was just first starting out. Fantastic musician. John Carney, the guitarist, was in that band as well. Ian MacDonald, the singer-songwriter, he was also in that band. So yeah, we had some really good times. Yeah, and you know, we used to. I think that was the start of, you know, we would be doing festivals and stuff in the late 80s, and that was kind of how we met folk like Hamish Moore and the Easy Club and Ray Fisher and all these folk. You know, we used to bump into them at various festivals all the time.
So when I first got to know you, it was the 1990s,
yeah,
and you were very involved with the writing reports on traditional music for the Scottish Arts Council, very important reports that changed the way that the government looked at traditional music. Yeah, I was kind of came in. The Scottish Arts Council had a big sort of change of emphasis in the early 90s. Came on the back of a very important document called the Charter for the Arts, that was written in the early 90s by Joyce Macmillan. And for the first time, the Charter for the Arts was saying that the Scottish Arts Council should look at and take seriously areas of culture in Scotland that had hitherto not been seen as part of the remit of the Scottish Arts Council. And traditional music was a part of that. And that kind of coincided with a new music director coming into the SAC at that time, a guy called Matthew Hook. And he was very keen to make sure that traditional music did get a wee bit of a crack at the whip. So they'd done a couple of early
kind of exploratory reports, and then I got the job of kind of doing a big survey of people in the Scottish scene at that time. So I interviewed loads and loads of people who travelled all over Scotland to talk to people, and then kind of drew all the threads together in this report. Came out in 1999. So I was doing that at the same time as the whole festival, so it was quite a busy time. Yeah.
And that report did change things, though.
Well, it kind of it sort of established traditional music as a proper concern for the Arts Council. It kind of, I think, raised the status of traditional music. Let people outside their own scene see that it was flourishing. There were a lot of people involved in it. It was culturally important, and I think it also released a bit of money as well from the then new Scottish executive at that time, because the report came out just, I think, months before the establishment of the Scottish Parliament, and one of the early things that the then Scottish executive did was produced a cultural strategy, and as part of that they made quite a bit of significant money available for traditional music at that time. So.
It was an amazing time in Edinburgh. It was electric.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think now at this distance of 20 years, I think where Glasgow is seen as the kind of as the kind of point of energy. At that time, Edinburgh definitely was. I think if young musicians were looking to move to somewhere from, if they were coming from other parts of Scotland, it would inevitably be Edinburgh that they would come to. So and I think at the heart of all that was the Tron Tavern, the sessions there, and I think that was the kind of melting pot, wasn't it? The jazz musicians would come there, the folk musicians would come there, they would start playing together, then they would start forming bands together, and the music would start to take on new sort of flavours and new inflections, and it was a really exciting time.
I suppose out of that melting pot was why we got together to create our Distill project.
Yeah, I think it was all part of that same process as well. Although it's interesting how the Distill thing has kind of sort of come full circle with your Strathspey and Surreal Society, because I think that was the original idea, was that we tried to get some funding for a Strathspey and Surreal Society.
I know, that's fun.
And that was kind of raised the question, well, if we had an ensemble like that, well, what are they going to play? And it was just in the early days of New Voices at Celtic Connections as well, and I think we felt that there was a need to provide opportunities for musicians to explore the possibilities, to kind of move out of just composing in 16-bar chunks and actually kind of extending their creative skills and their creative possibilities, and so the Distill project really kind of came out of that. And of course, now I think the New Voices is one of the kind of really important strands of Celtic Connections now, and loads of musicians are even if they're not composing long-form pieces, there's been a real explosion of original composition. Loads and loads of people writing tunes and taking risks and chances with the kind of the kind of basic form and so on. And then people are writing tunes and then they're getting established in the repertoire. So there's that kind of interesting relationship between traditional processes and sort of original creativity as well, which I think is fantastic.
But I suppose we also have to talk about your musical life, and with your wife Mairi Campbell and the band The Cast, you've made 3 records.
Yeah, well actually we've done More than that, actually. We did two for Kilburney, Alistair Fraser's record label in the 1990s, and then our kids came along, and that was a bit of a hiatus, and then we made our third album, Free and Green Tracks, in 2007, and then we did a sort of smaller distribution album.
And that was called The Red Earth?
The Red Earth, yeah, the first one. The second one was called Revival. And then I suppose the fifth album was Mairi's solo album, which is called Mairi Campbell, but the songs that were on that album were all joint compositions between the two of us.
So was it with the cast that you started songwriting?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I've never really done it before that. I think we did one kind of almost a sort of novelty song on our first album called the Step Dancing Song. Actually, Mairi had basically written, and I wrote a verse for it, and that was my first foray into songwriting, really. And then on the second album we wrote 2 or 3 songs, including the Piper and the Maker, which is still in the repertoire, and a few folk have covered that. Then 2 or 3 more songs for the third album, and then that was when we really started to come into it and actually put quite a bit of proper time aside to create stuff. So we've written a fair number of songs since then.
So I suppose your most famous moment is your version of Auld Lang Syne featuring in the Sex and the City movie. How did that all come about?
Well, gosh, it's kind of hard to pin it down, but yeah, we recorded that on our first album, The Winnowing, which came out in 1993. And the story goes that every year in America they have a thing called the Kennedy Center Honors, and I think the First Lady's got something to do with put together a committee, and they choose 5 people involved in the arts in the US that they want to honour. And this particular year, it's 1999 again. It seems to crop up quite often. It's Sean Connery was one of the honorees. As the story goes, that they were having a production meeting, and they were wanting to get Shirley Bassey to come and perform at the Kennedy Centre for Sean Connery, and one of the production team said, I know a song that would be really good for this, and she was kind of quite persistent, and in the end they said, oh well, let's have a listen to this song you keep going on about, and she went and got a cassette of the album and played it, and we went, oh yeah, we'll have that. So we got invited to come and play at the Kennedy Centre for Sean Connery and President Clinton and all the rest of it in Washington, and we think that one of the presenters that night was Matthew Broderick and his wife Sarah Jessica Parker, and she was in the audience, and so we think that she probably heard the song at that gig, and she was also one of the producers of the film, so we think that's what the connection is. It was great. They used a big chunk of the song in the film, and it's been played millions of times on YouTube and all of that. So yeah, it's a nice thing to happen.
So what is next? What musical plans do you have next?
Well, my own musical plans. Mairi's kind of really busy with her solo show Pulse at the moment, which she's touring at the minute, and she's going to also come back to the Festival Fringe in the summer. But my main musical thing at the minute is I'm working on a musical. It's a music theatre with a couple of colleagues down in London, Charlotte Conquest and Solomon Batra. And so we're just kind of, the well-known crack about musicals is that they're not written or rewritten, so we're kind of rewriting at the moment. and just knocking the script into place, and I'm doing the lyrics for the songs, and Sonan is the composer. So it's a kind of different thing for me, because it's a completely different genre of music, with its own kind of conventions, and it's an adaptation of a novel called Not the End of the World, and it's about the flood and Noah and his family and so on, and kind of interesting take on that, kind of modern take on that. So, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Steve.
Yeah, my pleasure.